What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another drawing tutorial. Today we have an animal, a lion cub. So I've done a tiger cub, but I realized I never did a lion cub. So pretty much similar process, but just less stripes, obviously. So I'm on a landscape page. Use a pencil eraser. Hit pause if I go too fast. You can do ink afterwards. I do ink just so it's more visible on the camera. But pencil, sketch lightly is the best way to go. So, focusing on the face. All right, so start with the eyes. Center point of my page is about here, right? So, and the eyes are kind of along the middle, maybe a little bit higher, right? But we'll sort of start along the middle line because they kind of curve a good bit, right? So, real big, right? So we're going to start, I like to call this shape the bird's head, right? And it'll make sense now in a second. So this like curves around real big, right? Like that. And it reminds me of a bird's head because down here you've got like this sort of spiking part, right? And then this comes around the back of the bird's head. Like this way. This always reminds me of a beak. And this is like feline eyes, right? They kind of look like if you put an eye here, you would see like a beak and a head. That's what it reminds me of anyway. Could be just me. So then inside, right? So we've got like, this is all dark black around the outside, right? But we'll draw a kind of a half circle or a semicircle just here, right? And the top comes around this area, okay? So all in around here then is colored dark black, okay? Right, more or less like that. And then in here we have the iris. So he's kind of just looking straight forward. So just do a circle, sorry, not the iris, the pupil. Just in here and a dark black circle. Like so. So then if you want around, like you can add a highlight, like a white sort of circle like that. So that'll be left white. And then some people like to add some hatching just on top, like some ink and pencil and line just here to show some shadow just on the top of the eye. Maybe some iris lines just on here, but mostly just some hatching like that. All right, so we go over and we do the same thing pretty much on the other side. So you're about eye width, maybe like an eye and a half. One. Yeah. Like you can, like in the adult, I know with the adult, you can fit two. One, two, but I wouldn't. I think they're a little bit closer. It's like his head is smaller. So I'd say here, right? So you might be able to fit an eye and maybe half an eye. And that's where the next one starts. And you do this sort of bird's beak shape again, right? So you kind of just curve around. And if you want, you can add an extra spike off this here as well. But we'll just do one, right? So you add the beak, and then this is going to go around, and then kind of stick up at the end there. And then the iris, again, circle, half circle, coming around here. And the top of it goes this way. And then color it in. Something like that. Now don't worry if they're not like perfectly symmetrical or anything like that. You're just looking for a general shape. Like in the wild, creatures aren't perfectly symmetrical anyway. There's like one eye slightly bigger than the other, etc. So don't worry too much about that. And then the circle, for the pupil in there. And we try and keep these the same size because pupils, when they're different sizes, in the same character, it looks like they're a bit crazy or something, to put it mildly. Right, and then you could do the same thing. It depends on your light source. So if your light's coming from this side, your highlight should be more or less like there. But you can have two light sources if, you know, if you want it. So like our light source is coming from top, say here maybe. And then more hatching if you want. Quick sort of lines just up here. Coming down, and so to make things darker, you can do cross hatching. So you just make things darker. The gaps between the black line is thinner, and then things get lighter if you leave bigger gaps between them, right? You know, you can do this gradually. It's a whole other technique as well. You could do a whole drawing with just hatching, which I have done, and it's quite time consuming, and it's fun, but it takes a long time. Right, so nose, okay? So roughly your nose, distance between the eyes will come down, right? You can even measure if you want, so, you know, so say like, where would I measure? Like here. There, like 12, for me it's that 12. And then that will bring me down to the nose, and it's nearly exact, I'd say. You know, if I measure my picture, and you measure your distance, it'll bring you to like the top of the nose, roughly, right, here to here. It's nearly exact, actually. I find it interesting that you got this equal triangle. Most cats, and I think dogs and stuff, so here to here, about the same as here to the top of this guy's nose. Sometimes it's to the middle of the nose. So we just do curved line around here. Just goes around his nose like so, right? And then it goes kind of straight this side up there. And then there's a black section that comes around the sides and down, right? So his nose is mostly black, but there's like a shaded sort of portion in here. So we'll go around here first, right? Maybe this should go up here a little bit more. And down, right? So this comes down around into here. Roughly the same on both sides. And then this will go down to like this V sort of shape here. Something like that, right? And then we have sort of the nostril shapes inside. So like here. So this comes down. Got two little bumps here, and then the same on the other side. Roughly, and then a line up the middle, and then in around here is colored in, shaded in. Okay, so then coming down from the nose, we have that cat-like snout sort of area, right? So it's got a line coming down the middle, and then it's going to curve around quite big, right? So it's going to go, and this can be like a hairy line if you want, like it can be like a fuzzy sort of line sketched, you know, if you want, but or you can do is just straight, like it gets kind of hairy up here. Like that could be a smooth line, like the line for his nose there if you want, or you can sketch it depending on what kind of textures you like. And then we do the same thing on the other side. I like to make things sort of hairy, especially on animals. And some of the lines can be broken even. Right, like so. So real big. And then his chin. So again, hairy line. There's more details in here, but we'll just get mostly what we can see. The main shapes first. And then his bottom lip is in here, and it's like shaded in real dark, right? It just comes across like there, and this is like all just shaded in black because the lip is black. So and then if you want like hair, texture lines, just on him there. So he does have some like lines coming up the side of his nose here, you know, like this sort of hair lines and things. coming up the inside of his nose. Mostly done with like sketchy furry lines, so it's not really, you know, this kind of stuff. You're just kind of suggesting fur. And, you know, then lines like coming over the front of the nose like this. Going up the middle of the face, you know, like a line just like that. So adding some hair and stuff. And then we've got these whisker lines that come across his face here. So these are done just with sort of dots, and there's 3 or 4 layers of them, right? So say we'll start at the top, close to the top. Where does it start? We'll go here. And they're just these little dots, and they gradually get bigger as we curve around his mouth there. I think there's another sort of 2 or 3 on top there. Right, kind of like that. And you just do layers like this here. These ones down here are actually pretty small. They're nearly like lines. Coming around like that. And then we do the same thing on the other side. He's got another little line here, just coming down from the nose. And then, yeah, more whisker sort of stuff. Right, like so. And then we got some details around the eyes. So we have this sort of white patch, maybe some lines coming down here, but he got this white patch underneath the eye, right? So it kind of comes down here and then goes in to there. Right, and then same thing over here. So we'll go around, down, and this is like a smooth line into the corner of the eye there. Then, so we got like a little eyelid sort of line, and then there's like a whisker section. So like a whisker section that has whiskers that come out from his head, right? So it's like this sort of shape, right? Just here. Right, like that, and then you got like an eyelid line coming around just to the corner of the eye there. Right, you have the same thing on this pretty much. Okay, like that, and like, you know, some more hair sort of lines inside, and then eyelid line coming around. Same on both sides, you know. Into the corner of his eye, and you can add like another eyelid sort of area there. Like so. And then he's like a little bag underneath his eye here as well. Comes around all the way to the corner like this. Okay, so shape for the head, face, and all that. So real round, sort of cute, sort of puffy face, right? So like starts, so we'll start from the corner here where his ear starts. So his ear starts sort of here, right? And it goes around, right? And then on the other side, we have the same sort of situation. So just like his ear starts here. His ears will go around, but this is where his face meets his ears, kind of in line with the eyes, right? And it's kind of a hairy line. So then we go down this way, right? And you can add as much fur or stuff like that as you want. And this will go just in towards the snout here. Hairy line like that, right? Right, we do the same thing pretty much. Like so. So there's kind of like a little sort of face line that goes sort of from the corner of the eye. So this is like the fur on the head, but there's like, you know, a little sort of extra sort of area here. Like furry sort of face, just these coming down around this way. He looks like a little bear kind of. And then another one here. Like that kind of thing. Okay, so then the ear, right? So as I said, it starts here, right? And we got this like fur section and it kind of dips in, and then there's like an earlobe or something. Just here. Bumps out. This can be, sometimes it is a hairy line actually, just looking at it now. And this goes in towards the head, just down here. And where it meets the head, it meets fur, right? So it meets like the fur that comes down this way. It gets quite hairy here. Comes down towards the bottom of the ear. So, okay, and then same thing over this side. So quite spiky and hairy, and then there's like an earlobe or something here, and then you go up and around, and again, can be hairy line, sketchy sort of hairy line. Around the same level, doesn't have to be exactly, but we'll add our hair spikes coming in here, coming down the face. Same sort of thing again. All right, like so, and then top of the head comes over this way, right? And this isn't as hairy, but you know, it can be if you want. Comes across like that, right? So a real big, cute sort of face. And then, like, again, some sort of, you know, lines coming up the middle, just some texture lines, and then maybe hatching lines coming down the head, just here, you know, for the forehead. Some light lines like this. Right, like so. You can do as much of this as you want, really, just to show some fur. And then we got to do the inside of the ear. So basically, for the inside, right, we got like this sort of dark section here, and there's fur coming around it, right? So you just do your fur lines, just coming around like that, and there might be like some hatching there, and this will go around basically the outside of the ear, comes down toward the corner, just there. And if you want like some more extra fur, just stick it up here. Right, and basically in there is like dark, right? So you can either shade it in like with hatching or color it in black. So I'll just start with some hatching and it might end up black. We'll just see what happens. Like in towards in between the hair, maybe it will be really black. And then it'll get sort of lighter as I go out, like sort of more hatching, spaced out sort of thing like this. But like if you were doing that with pencil, you know, you could shade it a bit better. I'm just using ink, so. Yeah, and just some light lines kind of out here. So you want in there to look darker than out here, basically. Something like that, anyway. Okay, and we do this over here. So again, sort of real hairy sort of spots, starting maybe here. Eventually. Comes around, down to here. And then you add like so, and then like some extra sort of lines maybe here, some hatching coming up there, around the top of the ear. And then we'll try and just shade this in. So much of that as you want, like so. Okay, so that's his ears basically, and then neck. So neck again, furry line just coming down from the jaw here, and the other side. Hairy furry line coming down like so, and then the neckline. So like there's hair all coming down, meeting sort of in the center here. These sort of rolls of fur coming down this way, like that. And sometimes tigers can have, not tigers, like lions, little lion cubs can have these sort of dotted sections on the forehead. So like coming up the forehead here. This guy seems to have some anyway, so just these dark sort of furry sections on his head, basically. So I'm gonna do some coming down. And they're quite close together on top. There's some down here as well. So I'm just kind of sketching them in lightly. Just building it up as I go. And it can be random because they're different for every sort of tiger, you know. Every lion. I keep saying tiger. It's because of the stripes. And just over here, top of the head. Right, but you can basically build that up for as long as you want. But I think that's enough for my little lion cub. And then whiskers, don't forget whiskers. So you just do these sorts of things. Short, sort of quick lines. Coming down like so. And sometimes there are little ones that like grow out of this area here. Two or three. But that's everything. That is how to draw a lion cub. Hope it was helpful, guys. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.